Alright, I am back. I am back, my loves. Alrighty. We're playing Minecraft. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Come on. Yeah, I'm already set up. Hello. Alright, so... This one... I forgot what I'm doing already. Alright, so we're gonna play Minecraft, but... we're going to test some stuff. And by test some stuff, I mean switch these around. Huh?
Could you just double check? I don't. It doesn't. The blind box didn't work when I did it before you went on break. I'm not sure why.
The what?
The blind box. Redeem.
Oh.
I can refund myself. It's not a problem. I just I don't know why. So I don't know if you know why it didn't work.
I heard it go off.
It didn't show up in chat. Maybe scroll up in chat a little bit.
Fruitbag got theirs. Was it before I went on break?
Yeah, it was right.
Yeah, it was before I went on break. I turned it off for D&D.
Oh shit!
Because I didn't want the noise to go off during D&D.
Okay. It was like right when you said it, but it must not have synced.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, goober. Hi, Sheppy.
I was in D&D.
No, I was trying to respect that we were in D&D.
That's crazy.
What do you mean that's crazy, you bum?
I figured you just put it in the corner.
No.
Okay, fair enough. But no, that just happens sometimes. Sometimes I also I'll hear you say it, but the stream hasn't. That's all. Never mind.
Check your quark oddities to make sure that the... what is it called? It's called something. Tome of Holding is off. The Tome of Holding is off. Are you in the hospital again? Are you okay? What happened? Why are you in the hospital this time? Hello, Canadian. All right, let me see how the servers do it. I'm in creative. It's different. I am. What happened? Why are you in the hospital? Okay. I cracked my... yikes! Oh my god, my love. Please be careful. I'm sorry that that happened to you. Are you alright? Pookie drove me to the ER. I got 10 yikes, but at least you have a cool scar, right? Cool scar, maybe? Cool scar, maybe? Maybe? I'm like... I also want to check something in here. And the good thing is my insurance did cover this. Fuck yeah, oh thank goodness. That would have sucked if it didn't, but I'm glad it did. Alright, let me look at World Generator. These I want to remove. Open. What you coming through? Ooh, we on the way home? Yippee! I'm glad you're on the way home. I hope you could have a nice little snacky. Alright, aggregates. B. Why are there 32 bees? I mean, I don't think that's that weird. Does this look weird? And then if not, then I'm going to remove... Oh shit, that is not what I wanted. This guy? Go lay down. I want to get back with the cats and watch the stream and some YouTube. Sounds good. Tell the kitties I say hi and please be safe. There's quests and rewards. I have new ones. Sea Dwellers definitely does. I don't think I'll have the imps and demons though. Does quests and rewards? Rabbits. This is cool though. I think I want to keep this. Rabbits. Shrubbery. This one we can remove. I think removing those ones would be good. But I think that would be like it, I think. Thank you for letting me know your watch streak. I appreciate it so much. Thank you for watching me and hanging out with me. I have to rename the title of the stream. Gaming. Let's call it zooted gaming. So I'm lazy. Did we get our TikTok sent in today? My mom came over to my house the other day and she did not know that Pookie and I got a third cat. She was so confused. Be like, there's a cat? There's another cat. What? Okay. Okay. I think we can just play. I feel. Okay. Let me turn the audio on here. It's not the worst lag. Is there any ones that I didn't want to compromise on? Cute companions ducks is fine. We have a cat named Shrimp, Nalu, and Tigger. Aww. That's cute. I want to name a pet Pooh. Like Pooh Bear. Hi, Kiwi. The bottoms we got Nature Spirit, Mosey's Mobs, Rats. I want to keep that one. What about this one? This is the other one. You can consider which things I should. Halfway there, woo! We can take this one out, I think. We have control of ourselves. I used to have a cat named Pooh and Tigger. That's why I wanted it. It's like, because they're like Winnie the Pooh characters. Where's the enemy expansion? There's that one. Alright, and then let me just... Control of ourselves. Create filter A to Z. Woman. I should have cats named yeah, Piglet and Eeyore. What was the Eeyore poo? What was the rabbit's name? There was a rabbit. I need a. Oh, what the fuck? I need redstone. What's this? Ooh. Oh wait, I can't because I don't have iron. It was rabbit? Was it really just rabbit? Really? Oh, I thought he was like named something else. There's a creeper. We can't forget Roo. We cannot. Roo is the cutest. Little kangaroo baby. Oh, God. Okay, cool. Part of my brain just wants to fix the server. Spirits. What spawns the vengeance spirits? I wonder if that's taking up anything. My mom was a Calvin and Hobbes fan, so we named a dog Hobbes that treated me like her baby when I was that's so cute. Is there any loot? No, there's water though. Fuck. No. Boop. I just got home. I live like 1 mile away from that. Nice. There's an evil craft mod. Okay, never mind. We'll keep that one. I don't think that one's gonna take up that much anyway because they kind of despawn rather quickly. Excuse me. I heard something get hurt down here. Do we have any gripes of removing the Ad Astra Giselle add-on or Ad Astra Extra, by the way? For anyone in chat and devouring. Oh, we don't. Okay. Have a good stream, Elaine. Thank you. Thank you for the lurk. Thank you for hanging out. And thank you for letting me know how you're doing. There's some tombstone mod if you don't want people to go to you. If you don't have people who specifically want to play with Coral. Alright, Coral. Suggest. Because for some reason, Quark has one that's overriding the Coral one. Okay, okay, so no complaints there. Okay, and then we might change the tombstone mod. I don't know why Quark is like overriding it. Maybe I need to check it in the configs. I thought I turned it off and then the Minecraft server crashed, and so I thought it would change it by itself, but I guess it didn't. Father, forgive me. I'm sorry for my sins. Heart of living. I think it's down here. Quark common. Alright. Tome of. What is it called? It's a tome, right? Tome. Ancient tomes. Oh god, well, okay. Sound good. Thank you for this. I'll request off. Totem is holding. It's the word holding. I should look for the word holding. Holding. Totem of holding is false. False. Oddities, totem of holding. Dark Souls most true. False. 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 True. Okay, and then okay, got it. Hold on, I got it. Alright, I fixed it. Okay, so we're gonna replace Corel with, which means I gotta add a new file. Yeah, I just want to see if it uploads first. Also, fun one is very strong and is focused on optimizing very so far. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna disconnect for now. And then everyone else can keep playing while I fix stuff. Okay, where do we begin? Okay, and then I don't think this is necessary now because we're not having that problem anymore. Added this guy, gravestone mod. Gravestone mod by Honkamax. Okay, so that, and then we'll also remove Corel Tombstone. Though I'm really confused why. Brain thinking. Quark is having that weird issue where it's like overriding us. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to make my Minecraft unusable first. And by unusable, I just mean not compatible with the server. Okay, so we're gonna go to Corel and delete Corel. We're gonna go to Gravestone and we're gonna grab the Gravestone mod. What does this mean? This little mod allows you to directly equip gears or restrict results. I think it's... We'll get the Gravestone as well, this one. And then... Now we gotta remove Corel, add Astra, extra gel cell, cute companions, ducklings, goodbye babies, enemy expansion, imps and demons, ribbits, the useful ribbits, goodbye my babies. It'll be okay. Because we sell the rats, and we can have a farmer rat, so that'll be fine. Yes. And then I'll click play. Just to make sure it loads correctly. And if it loads correctly, hopefully, culling, mob creation, mob mods to optimize server performance. Oh, I also added one more. I added the Corel compact because it's... No, the Gravestone, the other Gravestone mod. It is also by the... No? It's just by this a different person. Gravestone mod by Project 8 gigabyte DRAM. Okay. Yes. Under control of herself. And then these need to be like this. And then these need to be like this. Bold underline. Bold underline. Looks like Minecraft's starting up fine. If it starts up fine and it works with the server, then we should be okay. The mods on my server performance. Forge 1.20.1. And then if this all works good, then I can just export the profile now. Share profile, export profile, zip. And then I just need to make sure it's not exporting one of the resource packs, but I hopefully removed it. It didn't remove itself, but that's okay. V.102. Total control of herself. Okay, and then I'm going to go here, and we're going to go to Control F Corel. And this is a gameplay mod, and we're going to add one below it. So shift down. This is a compat mod, which is this one. And then after removing these guys, and we'll so shift up, should have 520 mods? 521? Oh my god. I bet it's an API thing, huh? I guess that the list doesn't super matter right now. Make sure oddities totem of holding Dark Souls was false. Assault to false to remove the behavior to destroy smart if the player dies again. Yes, totems will spawn if player kills themselves false. Set this to true to make it so the totem is destroyed. The item false. Set this to false to only allow the owner. But it should just straight up be off, right? A totem of holding off. Yes. Save. Okay. And I can just check it myself, I guess? If in a single player world I die and it gives me a gravestone, that means I fixed it. And if it doesn't, that means we still have to fix it up. Okay. Fingers crossed. The biggest fingers crossed is going to happen when I go here and I go to upload it. Should be okay though. So I triple checked it, but I'm gonna add just in case. At Kiwi. What box they want? Vex. Remember your TikTok submissions. We'll watch them at. I guess I could just put that in the living room. Oh well. Oh, what's the thing? Show Twitch chat in Minecraft? How does that work? I'm gonna relaunch the find the best all-around moderator that's easy to start with. It didn't help. Another side. This one's the Twitch watch integration. Minecraft allows you to see Twitch cat. Okay. The version isn't. Oh, the one is. Okay, where's your 1.1? Oh, it does show the little things too. But for this mod to work, you need a new emotes will continue to be added to the resource pack. Twitch bot in Minecraft that displays Twitch chat and badges. Yeah, so started enable the resource pack in Minecraft. /Twitch connect. Do I need creators? It doesn't. Is this client side or is this server side? Because I'm hoping that it's just client side. Hi Vexed. The mod fully works client side. You do not add it to the server. However, in Minecraft 1.61, where you need to have it installed in the server, the commands and client side 1.90 plus. Okay, cool. So that's something I can just have for myself. Okay. Ooh. Ooh, it's lagging. Forgive me. Sorry for my sins. Okay. Let's see if I. Boop, 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 boop. Oh shit, where did I die? Oh no, where did I die? Oh, I just died over there. Okay, so that worked. So hopefully that means on the server it'll be fixed as well. And if it's not, then fuck butts, I guess. Oh, this is not my death point. Oh. Could it like stop raining? It like keeps raining in Minecraft and pissing me off. It's rainy and cloudy here in real life. I don't need it to be so rainy and cloudy in the daytime too. Okay. And video games. Okay, so this works good. Which means I have to... I think I will add this mod now. So that way... Yeah, okay, no, I'll add it now, and it can be a thing in the server. Twitch chat and game chat. This one. This one allows you to add. Okay, so now that that's there, it's called Twitch chat and game chat by Clear Sky. And then I'll add that to here. And that means I have to restart my Minecraft one more time, which is fine. It's a mental hell. You say, come over again. Come over again. Okay, and then we'll have 522 mods, question mark? Yeah, that's fine. Add 2 additional mods. Aim out of your mouth, you don't get to the moon. How they are from until you get bored. And then I'm going to stop the server. No, not yet. I need to make sure that this works. What? Why did it crash? What happened? Why would you crash? You're making me nervous. Minecraft instances, Minecraft crash report. Selected mod, none. Oh, did you just crash because you could? I think it just crashed because it could. Let me make sure. Profile options. Yeah, I think you just crashed because you wanted to. Okay. Share profile. Oh. No, I did it again. Ah, it's fine. You know what? It's fine. Fucking, I can't spell. Relations, dependencies, dependence. Okay, we'll just remove that. Yeah. Add additional mod. That was 521, so that's fine play. So when I added that one seemed to fuck it up. And if that's the case, then I just won't add it. Which means we can keep the v.102. Just gonna make sure the game loads again. think that'll be okay though. Yeah, and then I just decided for now that I think I'm just gonna do this manually. So this one, add extra, delete. Oops. Boop. Cute companions. Cute companions. Cute companions. A, B, C, D, E. Enemy expansions. Trash. Realm. I'll die for you. Realm. Useful ribbits. QRSTU. QRST useful. There it is. Trash. And then Corel Tombstone. QRST. Where is it? Coral, what is it? I think I gotta do this. What was the file called? Tombstone Forge. QRST Tombstone. This one. Delete. And then Minecraft. And then mods, date modified. Baguette lib. That is what we added, the baguette. Baguette lib. It was also by did I organize it again? Tombs, gravestone, excuse, okay. This one, by this one is an API. That loaded okay. I added all 3 to the server, I believe. Gravestone. Okay, so gravestone and baguette. A, B, C, D, E, F. Can I? Okay, I can. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Gravestone compat, and then baguette lib. A, B, 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 B. Baguette lib, cool. That's all good. That means this can be added here. View.102. It's already there. I'm just gonna remove it because I don't know. Just make sure. Yeah. Now I wait patiently. Very, very patiently. As I see if it gets automatically sorted or not. But in the meantime, while I wait and be patient, we'll play Food Guesser. Ooh, it's a drink. Red wine, lemon soda, ice, lemon slice, orange slice, and vermouth. This dish is refreshing. I wanted to say Italy. No. Spain? Yes! I guess it is vermouth. I guess the vermouth is. I didn't know where vermouth come from. Tomatoes, onions, cilantro, olives, chili peppers, parsley. This is I don't know where this one would be from. Maybe this one's Italy? Ice cold. Fuck. Other side, India. Fuck. Oh no. I don't know where else this could be from. Chile? Yay, it was from Chile. Okay, cool. Ooh, look at this. Green tea, fresh mint, leaf, sugar water, orange blossom water, lemon verbena. This dish was a refreshing blend of green tea, fresh mint. India? Oh, they blurred the word? What? I don't know any other countries. It was Syria. Was it? Wait, did I get it right? There was Morocco, Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, Western Sahara. Dang. Okay, well, Vex hasn't done it today, so I could still win. This one. Ooh, these both look kind of bad. Turkey, France. It was a peasant just looking cook lamb. Lamb. Ooh, ants climbing a tree, or this one. I think ants climbing a tree. Ooh, this one looks good. Oh fuck. Ah. Ooh, I want to say this one. Yeah, this one. Whoops. Okay. This is just a chewy treat. It's a treat. It's a treat. A treat. Pie and mash or soup? Pie and mash. Soup. Oh, beef Wellington. I know that one. Oh, this one. Yes. Red braised pork belly for the win. Fuck yeah. Okay. Vex will probably beat me, but that's okay. Okay, cool. This will be done soon. And I will restart the server. I will restart the server once the pack goes approved. And I realize I left zip in the name, which I will fix once it's approved. I hope you guys are having a good day. I have like a slight like forehead headache. It's like in my eyeballs. It's like bleh. Thank you for the head pat. I drank some more water. I say hydrated. Let's see. I'll just edit the name now. I don't think that really matters. Boop. Thank you for the wellness check. I will drink even more water. I will wait patiently. Drink all the water. Okay, I'll drink a little more. to the sea. But then in the ocean. Eternity. I'm trying to be patient. I'm trying to be patient. Let's look at Steam. Let's look at Steam while we wait. The Gnor ban Apolog. Megabonk. Corner Pod. Tavern Keep. A new tavern keeping game. Arc Raiders. Oh my goodness. Whisker. What's this? Oh, this is a city builder. That's rats. This was it was like they were like would you ever want a city builder, but it's all rats. That's what that one was. I'm gonna take my hair clip off. It's hurting my head. Oh my god, they came out with a third one? Holy shit, I didn't know they were making more of those. I thought that was an old game. Oh my god, I like yawn and my eyes are crying and blah. I didn't, what the fuck? What do you mean Deep Rock Galactic has seasons? It has seasons? I mean, I guess that makes sense. I guess that makes sense, because you want to, maybe you want to change, like, the worlds and stuff, and so you do it in seasons. I guess that makes sense. What do people think of Power Wash Simulator 2? It's got good reviews. I just feel bad, because, like, they had so many cool collabs in the first one. So I wonder if it'll come back over to the second one. We shopping for games. Nah, we're just looking while I wait for the Minecraft mod pack to update. It's under review, and I have to wait because I don't want to. I'm not gonna restart the server until the mod pack gets updated. So I'm just looking at games because I have too many games I want to play currently. But that doesn't mean we can't look at the current state of games. Looking for attention in places. Duck Cobb looks so silly and funny. Oh gosh, you look at Digimon and I'm obsessed with it right now? I have not. What is this? Yee, not like we can't window shop and accidentally buy one. We do have $10. We do have 10 buccarinos. This is cool. When did this come out? 2025? Oh shit. I didn't know Digimon was still making stuff. That's cool. That's cool. Oh, I want to see if I can pop my neck. My neck feels stiff. Oh. The only one I was thinking about getting at some point was the zoo one. Let's build a zoo, because I think it looks funny and I want to try it sometime, but I want my current hyperfixation to be Minecraft. Another game I do want to try though is Blueprints. I feel like Blueprints is gonna be it would be a really good game as well. What world? Uma Musume, guys. Ew, this hasn't come out yet. Time Stranger goes hard. Time Stranger? Boop, boop, boop. Oh, we're talking about the Digimon. Digimon is coming back. I believe. There's a renaissance of games happening, in my personal opinion, so. What's in my discovery queue? What is this? There's a VTuber playing this. Blue Protocol Star Resonance. It's got mixed reviews. Tavern Keeper. This one looks cute, though. It's like unironically looks kind of cute, though. Dispatch. Jurassic World Evolutions. Interesting. Escape Simulator 2. I think I played the first one. Legends of Dragaea. Right now is Cerberusum wolf mode. Cerberusum wolf mode. What is this? A 4-up where cursed rain falls. Mimesies appear, perfectly imitating your teammates and bringing a new level of tension you've never seen before. That's kind of cool though, because that's kind of fun. Actually, that sounds kind of cool. Outside of the blocks, this is just a 3D fucking environment maker, which has been a thing recently, and just environment making in video games, kind of like the Sims 4 building, kind of just as a game, and I think it's just very interesting. It was approved. Okay, we are going to server restarting with new update for inconvenience. They seem to be. Alrighty. Back to looking at games while we wait for the server to read. This is cool. This looks cool. I like the art style that it's in, but I think it's still 3D? Yeah, this is like 3D. The Seance of Black Manor is a supernatural detective mystery set in 1897 Ireland, where you investigate the disappearance of Evelyn Dean in a remote hotel full of secrets and otherworldly occurrences. Is this based off of the fucking H.H. Holmes fucking hotel? Because I just saw a video on that. It just kind of reminded me of that. Oh, World of Sea Battle. World of Sea Battle? Is this like a ripoff of World of Warships, but it's like fantasy based? Because I can't say warships because warships were like, that's like a more. The Sans game looks like Blueprints. Oh, okay. World of Sea Battle. I kind of want to send this to Pixels. I copy this. Copy. There you go. Oh, that game is 12 plus view page. Have you tried Sea of Stars? I don't think I have. Ooh, a modern classic, says The Guardian. Oh, is this a turn-based game? Oh, wow. I like the art style of it. Whoa. This reminds me of something. I don't know what, but it reminds me of something. This looks fun. Is this a multiplayer game? Is this a single player? Oh, I guess you would turn in between like the characters and stuff. Turn-based style, but has some mechanics that require live interactions. Interesting. I will follow this game. I will follow the games. I'm trying to follow games instead of just wishlisting all of them, so I can actually see them. Please tell me I did this right. Rock and roll star. Don't worry, was a one-way ticket. I will search, but they make it. What other games are out right now? Let's see the top bot games. Top sellers. Arc Raiders, that makes sense. Europa, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, RV There Yet. I do want to play this game at some point. RV There Yet. Looks fun. How many players can play it? A co-op. Is it just 2? Online co-op. Hello. For the mod's sake, I'm not a bot and trust it's funny. Hello, dear. We have arrived from the mod union and have a few questions for you. How often do you feed your mods and how clean is the mod basement? Thank you for asking in advance. If any mods want to tell me a different story, please speak now. Forever hold your peace. Well, the fun thing is the mods feed me. The mods feed me. Specifically 40 Pixels, my mod feeds me, and then my other mod feeds himself, and then the other mod, I don't know, he's on vacation, I guess, and then, are they considered free-range mods? Yeah, but if I'm honest, if I had to make, like, a chart really quick and get sidetracked, If I had to make it on a chart, this is me. RV there, yeah, is great. Have you played it? This is me, right? This is the hierarchy. She sleeps. Shut up. And then here are my mods. And they're like above me, but in the way that they take care of me. You know? They take care of me, make sure I'm good. And then there's chat. So it's kind of not a hierarchy of me, the streamer, above the mods. It's kind of more the mods take care of me. I'm sorry that you did patch your deals do not match the union, and you have to claim that they are free. The union believes that free-range mods shouldn't exist. Schmeckles worth of fines. God damn. And if you want more information, please check. Dude, is that a legit place? Final message for a bit. Thank you. Thank you, Leonia. That was fun. Free range. Why no free range mods though? 12,500 today. What is that? Oh shit. What did I get? It is a legit place. What the fuck? Really? Hold on. I'm looking this up. The mod union. Is this the White House? Oh my god, it's the White House. I think the White House has bigger things to worry about than whether my mods are free range or not, I'm gonna be honest. What was our scores today? My scores. Leaderboard. Oh god damn it, Vexed. Fair game though. Okay, the server's restarted, everything's okay. I'm in creative, that doesn't count. I also have to wait for other people to get on. But we shall see. We shall see how the server does. I'm hoping. The second one should be a big, yeah, if they're free range, are they organic? Organic is in all natural, and organic not as in like we use natural pesticides, yeah. I don't want to go. Oh yeah, there's like a thing over there. I want to go see what that is. Wrong. How do I get over there though? I just mind straight, I guess. The main reason why we don't incentivize for free range mods because it gives them opinions which can hurt their brain. More like it will hurt my brain. To be honest, the IQ of my mods is a lot higher than me, which is unfortunate. But you know, I think that's good though, because that would mean like it's kind of like having a king that's not as smart as his guards, because his smarts have to go into pleasing the people, you know? And that's how I see it, at least, is you know. Have you ever thought about neutering and spading your minds for increased productivity and improve mental health? No, unfortunately I haven't. I'm sure I've threatened it before. Oh. Close, that scared me. I'm sure I've mentioned it, though, before. Though I'm not as violent as I once used to be. You should make me a mod so I can power trip and ban anyone who even slightly annoys me. Maybe. Maybe someday. Listen, what the fuck? Oh, this is one of the world generated things, isn't it? Unfortunately, I think the queue ahead of you, if we were to have that many people where I need more than 3 mods, is a bit outside of the realm of right now. Why, there's the markers right there. Wouldn't it be funny if I found a stronghold? So there's this thing on the map, it's over here, and it reminds me of a stronghold. This is a lot of digging. I don't think it is though. It's not the same. You're not in this bit. What? My best friend, you know Body, the guy that I showed you guys a clip of yesterday that destroyed my math and repo? He just asked me if I wanted to see... He's asking me if I want to see racist Minecraft. And I don't know what that entails, and it really worries me. Like, what is that mean? What, like, I feel like I should be worried for him. You know? Oh, I need to add the server as well. Hold on. Small update for optimization is out and applied to the server. I can't spell. My brain is already so dead. My brain kind of hurts, honestly. My brain kind of hurts, honestly. If I had to be honest, this is the wrong one. There you go. Oh. No. I mean, there's water. I don't know why that's happening right there, and I don't want to know why. Boop, boop. Let me back in. Boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop. Violent pornography. Yeah. Choking chicks and so. Whoa, where'd my torch go? Oh, it's in my hand. Okay. I should fix that. Oh, bonk. What do you mean? What do you mean this is also a source block? My pickaxe is gonna break. I just realized my face tracking is off. Oh, is this why? I think it might be the base. Boop. Nani the fuck? Oh wait, every time back you said 67, what's that? I'm sorry. That's just how it is sometimes, you know? That's how it be. Sometimes love is just that way, and you just kind of gotta hope and pray, you know, sometimes. Elaine, I'm gonna die. Just play Project Zomboid with them. It'll stop. Instead with my symptoms. I don't think I'm that far from the place I was at. She's literally killing me. I think she's literally not. And besides, you could just tease her or something. Where the fuck is my hole? It's this way? Okay. Why's my backpack empty? God damn it. Alright, I'm going upstairs. So I want to test something else. Side. Hello, Mr. Plague Man. Go there. Alright, I'm gonna test something. Actually, I need something in my inventory just to make sure. Might not know me as wish. Oh, I have to get myself my floaty boat. Okay, it worked. It worked. Cool. So with my symptoms of sorrow. CSG. I love. Oh man, I put my bucket in there. Elaine, Buster really hates me. I don't think they hate you. I just think they don't like you right now, which I think is completely valid, you know? I'm sure that they love you. But I am also sure that they may not like you right now. I give myself my floaty boat. Did you give the bread? That's a good question. The only other thing I really care about is this. Wait, it did give it back to me. Oh, never mind. Alright, we're good now. Let's go. Oh, I need to make a new pickaxe. Oh, I have to make it down here. Gib. Okay. Why are there so many creepers? Stop. Stop it. Go away. I told her that when she says... and she continued to say it. Damn, that's crazy. Love in hand now, baby. I gotta go this way. I gotta go find redstone. I won't know. Damn. That's crazy. Let's go this way. Baby, I'm begging you. Should have made 2. Oh. Boop. The center. My heart right now flatlined. Well, that's unfortunate. Not a funny video of races. Sure. To understand. Oh, more water, no. Why? Why is there more water? Maybe I should... Do I even have that on me? I don't know, actually, anymore. Because Fruitbat gave me a helmet, but when the server reset, I lost it, I think. Oh, it's about to piss me off. Elaine, Vex wants me dead. Maybe they want you dead because the afterlife is forever, and when you die, they'll join you, so that way they could also stay with you forever. I think that works. Yeah, what about that? Oh, I see. Dark ore, okay. Okay, how's it working with then? Because no one else is really on right now, so I just want to see. 40? That's a solid 40. Except for when I joined, this has been a solid 40. And then, let me see if I can check it for when Fruitbat was just online. I think I'd have to look at the last log. She's wall before my body. You gotta play that one song. What song? There. This was for you. Using for his body, yeah, yeah. Bro, I'm Doomsday and came across peeps fighting over the new barista Starbucks. The barista. What? First of all, don't fight over Starbucks shit. They have so much money, there is no point. Oh, it's cute though. That's fair. But you could probably make a cuter one. Is it made out of glass though? Cause kind of fair if it's made out of glass. 40 ticks behind. Disconnecting. Fruit bat. Fruit bat stayed at a solid 40 by themselves too, actually. So 40 seems as low as it can go for the server. So I guess I just have to test it when someone else gets on. Why? Oh my god. She's all sexy, handsome. Using for his body, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is glass. Okay, I guess a little bit more valid, but I just think I personally don't understand fighting over like things like that. Like when Stanley Cups were a big thing, people would fight over like whether you were like, I don't know. I just think it's silly. I think it's silly. Hello? Okay. That was spooky. I just don't die before I... Boop. Can you save my... Can you save my... Can you save my healthy dirty soul? You save my... I need more Infernium, because eventually I'll do the Infernium. Yeah, very, very, like, just buy some honey with the... Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You know, and, like, you could hold on. Like, I feel like we could look up for 2 seconds, like, glass bear cup with lid. Like, literally, like, it's not the same, obviously. But, like, this is half the price, and you get fucking 2 of them. Dude. Like, this one, like, you can literally get 2 of these for, like, half the price. Like, I don't understand. Heavy dirty soul. Me. Boom, you got a bear cup. I know, it's like, I don't understand. You could get somewhere else better price, not for $30, if you just willing not to get the fucking name brand one. Let me de-influence you. Oh, I thought that was a picture. Are 2 baristas Star-boo-boos? Star-boo-boos? Star-boo-boos, bro? Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you could get this bear, and then get the one with, like, the mason jar lid, and then you could literally have any mason jar attachments, because mason jars are so popular. Like, I get it's not as cute as the Starbucks one, but it's like, Star-boo-boos is crazy. I know. That's kind of how it feels like with the cups, though. I almost bought into the cups a little bit. I have, like, I think I have 2 or 3 Starbucks cups. I'm like, yeah, but I only like the ones that are, like, I don't like all of them. Like, I only liked, like, there was, like, a fluorescent-ish one that I liked. But I really should have made that attachment. I'll go back. I gotta look it up though. It's like backpack upgrade. Backpack upgrade. This one. I need a chest. I need a chest. I think I have iron. Can you save my I really only came here because I needed redstone, but I haven't found redstone. Or iron for that matter, so meh. Daytime, nighttime. Daytime! Yippee. My hamster's gone because I cleared the server earlier. Where's my iron? I think I need string. Oh wait, how do I make this? Oh, I need all my iron. Iron, string, leather. That's not string. I think I have leather. Wait, can't I use dirty meat to make leather? Yeah. Stop being a goob. Being a goob. This one, this one, this one, this one. Why didn't I grab all my iron? This one, and then I need a chest. I have a chest in one of these chests. Might be over here. That plague doctor staring at my cows makes me nervous. I think you should not do that, sir. If you could kindly not stare at my cows like that, that would be great. Yeah, a bit more coal. Not that much coal, though. Here's the chest. Okay. Chest, crafting table. I'll just take the... Or I'll take this one. I'll take this crafting table. And then this one. And then a crafting table, a chest, and then iron. There we go. I need to go options, to controls, to keybinds, to category, to... No, open. Yeah, open backpack. Oh, got it. I'll just do it like this then. Boop. Oh, I didn't have enough things to make sticks. I don't have any sticks. Well, actually. Extra pickaxe. And then one more pickaxe. Here, waiting for you, and that's the crosshair. Sure. Oh no, wrong way. Keep thinking it's like forward from the stairs, but it's behind the stairs. Fucking shattered alive. Crosshair. With you. Is there a warlock near this? Oh, maybe he's like above. Oh, this is. Just keep going through the gravel, I guess. Not anymore, but. Oh, there's more gravel. Copper. Oh, I'm really close to the thing now. Let me go back up. Put that one there. Let's go straight, I think. I can't tell because there's fucking zombies on top of where. Oh, wait, I'm not there just yet. But I think I want to go up. This could die on you to take me out. Bow, 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 bow. Ooh, I have a nature bag. Oh, I brought the stuff with me? Oh man, I didn't mean to store my inventory that way. Oh well. Boop. Alright, how close am I to it now? Okay, I should be like right there then. Where is this hole? I hear you, zombie. Where are you, zombie? You're right above me. Cool. Hey, bud. This is a very bottlenecked hallway. This will be great for me, bad for you. Yeah, what's up? Oh god, there's so many of you. Uh-oh. I may have fucked up a little bit. Okay, now we're good. Boop, boop, boop. Oh. Oh, I could wear this. Hey, back up. Back up with your magic stick. Back it up. Back it up, motherfucker. Don't. Thank you. I have leather. Whoa! Hold on, I was putting on pants! What the fuck? Can I not put on pants? Please let me put on pants. Please, bruh. The guy dropped something that was pink. It was a very special hat bag. I need to upgrade my backpack. Ooh. I think I need to come here with an empty backpack. Okay. This is the promised land, chat. Alright, we'll come back. Lonely, I get so lonely. Ooh, I could streamline this a bit, actually. You guys fuck off, please? I'm trying to do something here. How'd you even know I was down here? You smell me? I smell you. Smell me? Is that why? Alright, let's fix her on up a little bit. And then take some of this. Boop. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop. Boop, boop. Give me this. I don't have inventory. Oh, yes, I do. Yippee. Oops. Goblin block. Goblin block. I get so lonely. I just realized how anal Minecraft makes me look, considering that I am carving out a cave because I want it to be straight across, even though it's not going to matter to anyone but me at the end of the day. I don't know, maybe this place that I find is cool. Maybe other people want to visit it. Make a nice little railway for them. Or I could probably just find a waystone in there, and then this tunnel would become redundant, but one can only hope. There you go. Ooh, I was a little dumb. There you go. God dang it. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, alright, there you go. Now we can just cover this all up. On empty. We got away from the burning heat. Just think about my baby. For love I can barely be. I'm sweeter than my baby. Cherry tree. Boop, boop. When my time comes around, let me gently in the cold dark earth. Feel brave, can hold my body down, go home to her. I was too late on the drunken. Would you back up, bro? I am currently terraforming this area, so it's nice to come back to. I don't have room for all this loot. Oh, yes, I do. Okay. Now I'm leaving. I'm back. Welcome back. How are you? Now comes around, lay me gently in the cold dark earth. No wave can hold my body down, home to her. I'll go up here. I'm gonna fix this. Doing good. How are you? I am Goob. I am Goob. I am just vibing. My body's done. Oh, don't forgive me. I found a loot area and I got to go empty my backpack. It's snowing. Oh my god, the snoring fucking scared the shit out of me. Hello. You got a long ass. That's a huge sword, dude. Can I have that? No? Okay. Damn. Okay. I really gotta get my storage situation sorted out, so I think I'm gonna put my storage stuff over here for now. Around, lay me gently in the cold dark earth. Gunpowder, ash, coal, infernium, flint, evil stone. Oops. There you go. Give me these. You can have these. You can have all the building blocks. Alabama, Arkansas, I do love my mountain pond, not the way that I do love you. I got a pool noodle. It's a damage weapon? What the fuck? It's a weapon. I need. Oh, heavy pie. Alright, where's my mob chest? Not this one. It was this one, technically. Come on, chest. Oh, my eyeballs are sleepy. Okay. Because we're gonna watch TikToks in an hour. I took an edible, and now my eyes are a little sleepy. It'd be really cool if the people outside could stop yelling. I'd be like really poggers. If they'd stop yelling out my window. Scares me. Sudden loud noises startles the cat. Do 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 do. Thank you for the wellness check. Coal. Okay. Oh, that's the wrong thing to do. Ash, rat, this one, gunpowder, string. This one, spider egg, this one. I guess you can have the chicken. That person is still, like, screaming their head off. It's quite overwhelming, if you ask me. Home is I'm in love with you. This will be the seeds chest. My character's hungry. That scared the shit out of me. They can stay there. Do I have any food? I got dirty meat. I got some garlic. I'll eat this garlic. Can't wait for my roommate to get off work. He's bringing back McDonald's. Fuck yeah! That sounds awesome. Hello, Mr. Cow. Where the fuck did you come from? Wait, do you belong in here? Oh, you're not one of my cows. What the fuck? Alexander. Eating a carrot, making my eyes better. Eating a carrot, making my eyes better. Okay. Okay, this is the seed food chest. The plant chest? Seed chest? Seed chest. Seed chest. Don't grow in here. Boop, boop, boop. Seeds and plants. Yeah, seeds and plants. Seeds and plants. This one, I guess you can have that. You get these ones. Seed chest. Ore chest. This is the magic chest. I'll take this one. I'll break this one. There you go. On with you. Alabama, Arkansas. I do love my ma and pa. Okay. That's fine for now. Magic, 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 magic. No. Boop, boop. This one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Oh, and these, and this one. This one, this one. A disgusting snack. Give me all these. Prima donna, creepy crawler. Backpack. Oh, right, I forgot to change it back. Backpack. Sophisticated backpack. Use this key for back. Alright. If you got any mythical animal, if you could be any mythical animal, what would you be? A selkie. A selkie. Oh, I have redstone. What the fuck? Ugh. Yeah, I'd be a selkie. No doubt about it. No, 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 no. How about this here for now? You can tie me up. You can tie me up. My hydrangeas. Oop. No way. My heart goes hammer time. And like a loot chest. This is gonna be my loot chest. For things I don't want to open right now or will open later. Need this. That's a enchanted circle. Give me an offer. I can't. I need someone over in my life. It's on the edge of a knife. That stick. Wheat can go in the food chest. Speaking of the food chest. Excuse me? Oh, it's a dragonfly. I was very scared for a second. And then pool noodle. And then I gotta get my wood back. I'll take these with me. I'm gonna go over here. Ruin my life. I should have tracked some chickens. Oh, my water's frozen. No, 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 no. Okay, let's make some bread. That boom, 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 boom. And now I'm in a room. Boom, 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 boom. I will keep this stack. This goes in here. This goes in here. This goes in here. Fez. What is this? Bonk. Oh, I got the magic card pack. Cool. Oh, these three. 1, 2, 3. I have a little duck, and I got them in it. A big ribbon. Psycho very. What? What does this look like? Psycho variants in the crafting. Oh, what the fuck? What the fuck? Where did I fucking get that dragon head? Look at this. What the fuck? Where'd my fin hat go? Oh, I guess I got one. Oh, wait, maybe I got the dragon one? Oh my god, that's so cute. Dyeable. Psycho variants in the crafting grid? I am confusion, but I would like to dye this blue. Or red? What would look good? Red, I think. We have red. We have roses. I can mix them. I can mix and match. It says it's dyeable. Big ribbon. I didn't do the thing. It's like on the side of the head instead. Got that. Boom, 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 boom. Do I need more dye? Or does it have to be here? It still says it's like the same. That's fine. I mean, the white will match my hat, I guess. It's not a second head slot. Oh, are we using a different one? Is that why? Oh, give me my bow. Okay, well, I'll just wear the bow for a little bit then. Oh, wait, no, was it in this? Oh, no. Boop. Boop. Is a lag better? It is. I think so, but I don't know because I'm the only person on right now. But hey, if you want to come on and find out. Why can't I dye the bow? It says it's dyeable. Yes. Big ribbon, simple hats, not dying. Not dyeable Minecraft. Says it maybe need to get on the right side. And on the phone with the family in the office. No problem. It's okay. I just more optimally want to know if the Minecraft server is lagging at all. Stop it. Why can't I dye it? Is this not red dye? Is this... Do I have any other flowers? Hold on, let me try it with other dye. Like blue dye is the one they use in the example. Maybe it only takes blue dye? Why can't I dye it? 60 new hats. I want to dye it. Olib. Curios. JI. Yup. Okay. Why cannot dye? FDYE. Why can't I dye the thing? Dyeable? Alright, it's this one. Not able to dye. Hat substitute trying to open menus. Dyeable ribbon on the sun hat. A dye and a watercolor. Click on the hat. It gets combined on bedrock if I just doesn't. A cauldron, you say? Wait, was there a new name for it? It says Minecraft mod was updated 2 days ago. Yeah, it's it should say Minecraft v1.02. Cauldron. I just want the normal Minecraft one. With the phone. What? Which is the normal cauldron, bro? I guess it doesn't really matter. I need water. Okay, and then can I dye the bow now? It didn't work. What? Why can't I dye the hat? Okay, now I'm invested in dyeing this hat. Put dye in water cauldron and click the hat on its compound. What? I'm making a new cauldron. I am confusion. Found it, thank you, of course. Sorry if it was a little weird. Oh, put it on diet. It's not dying. Why is it not dying? Ow! Ow, who's shooting at me? Stop! Why can't I diet? The dynamics bring something in, maybe? Go away. Oops. Boop. Add dynamics. want to do. Minecraft simple hats, how to dye hats. How about I want to stop the fire. That's not precise. Oh my god, my hands are so cold now. It's so cold in my office, chat. Remember, I know I can't tell just what you want. I just want to dye a ribbon because I think it would be cute. I can't say it's what you want. All time. Color, maybe? It doesn't work one more time. It was 2. I was fine, but I can't dye anything. Not sure what's going on. Can you upload the latest log? Bedrock by big styling work. Use Bedrock's method. I don't understand. Chat, I don't quite understand why it's not letting me dye my little bow. All I wanted was a red little bow. Maybe I have to have more dye. I don't know what I have a lot of that can make a color that's not white, I guess. But I guess I could just give myself some dye and then check. This doesn't belong in here. Hello, Foodbat. Welcome in. Welcome to the server. Is it a different workstation? Ooh, maybe. Let me look up simple hats. Simple hats. There's a hat stand. Okay, so let me look up dynamics then to make sure that doesn't have anything different that changes how you dye things. No. This one doesn't look like it does. They have dynamics and friends. And a bunch of other mods, productive bees, boop. Yeah, no, this is just making it so it connects. And then the other one is dye pot. Dye depot. My hand is so cold. Mama do. We do. Compact dyes heavily users. Dyes are heavily hard-coded part of my this mod will definitely encounter some issues if played with other mods. So missing here, missing boss compatible, very slowly supportive, and in the meantime, this chart is aimed to be a quick breakdown of how the crafting system works. Okay. But it doesn't say there's anything different about dyeing it. Okay, so then I'm just gonna give myself some red dye. DYE 7. I'm gonna be honest, chat, that the edible hit me really hard. Just to be completely honest. Okay, that also doesn't work. Why can't I dye it? Maybe try a different dyeable hat, maybe? It says the fox is dyeable. Oh, I can, now that people are on the server, I can check this. Okay, it says 600. Okay. Does it only take certain colors, maybe? This one says it takes the blue, though. Shrimp shears hat. Hat's not present. Oh my god, my hands are so cold. Poly MC. I'm trying to remember. Oh my god, my hands are so cold. Whew. Well, that's okay. I can remind. I have to Chinatown. No. My magic chest. This one? Yeah. Rumbling. That's in there. My inventory is yeah. I can give you new ones of stuff that you had if you like. I don't know what happened with the server because I didn't change any player data on the server, so I don't know why that happened. But if you want me to give you stuff back, I can. I'm sorry. Cute little cars. I need a nature's compass. Compass. Okay. Oh, I don't need that. The wet fruit gave me. Yeah. What? It might not have the same modifiers on it, but what weapon was it? I can come give you one. What weapon was it? I got you. I know that it might sound crazy, but it's like a katana. I like forgot what I was thinking. Okay, what was it made out of? Oh, he's cute. It was blue. Was it this one? Was it this one? Oop. It was winter. Oh. How much? Hi, V. It was a diamond katana. Okay, thank you. There you go. Now you have two. You have two now. My brain. These saplings. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. I need saplings. Wait, how do I... No, I gotta make this first. Oh, do I have enough iron? Wait, I can have enough iron. That's the wrong one. Boop. Boop. Oh, I like that the way it lights up. That's cute. Alright, let me check the server. Okay, interesting. I wonder why it keeps disconnecting fruit. Okay, there we go. It's one again. Three, four. There you go. Now I gotta go get some larch wood. Larch. Huh? Source what was it called? It was like, let's do, blooming nature. I found a huge cave. Nice. Source. Oh, wait, no, it's, oh, fuck, okay. Blooming nature. Old growth. Pine taiga. Pine. Old growth pine taiga. I'll go find one of those. I'm going on an adventure. I just realized I was supposed to go do something completely different. Oh well. I'm gonna go get that wood. Ow. Oh, the redwoods look so look it looks as cold in this redwood forest as I feel in real life on my fingies. Whee! I'm going to the larch zone. Leave me alone. Meow. 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 Gonna go find me a large forest so I can get some wood. Pixies. That was very immersive. Wait, how far is it? Oh my god, it's still like forever away though. I can get more iron. More iron. No. Am I okay? Why am I so slow? I think it's because I'm walking through bushes. That's crazy. Perch. There's a gar. Oh, the little garfish don't even look. It don't even look as scary as gar in real life. That's so nice. Busy woman. It says there's a mouse here. There's the mouse. Look at the little mousey. Cheese to meet you? Oh my god, what are you from? Wait, what are you from, little mouse? Critters and companions, cute. I think I'm going the wrong way. Ow. Mushrooms, berries, and flowers. I don't like that the things make you slow. Whoa, it's an elk. Whoa, very cool. See you, woman. Oh, found a dark forest. Ooh, spooky. Says I'm close. Only a couple hundred blocks away, chat. Depth mermorph? What the fuck? Oh, like puffball seeds. Like a puffball, like a fucking mushroom puffball? What's that? What's that? It's a bluegill? Bluegill! There are pigs out here. Good, duly noted. And turkeys. Cool. Oh, I got a mushroom. What is this? Angelica? Interesting. I thought it was like a wild root. Fruit. Food. I found an allium forest thing. Allium shrubland. Which is not what I'm looking for. I haven't been here for days. You that I watch in my bed. Blueberries, flowers. Ooh. Very cool. Okay. This is not what I was expecting. Ow, 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 ow. Forgot the source berries. Ow. Rotten forest, very cool. I watch in my bed. Is this it? Do you have larch wood? This is a Alcova forest. No, that's not what I want. Aspen forest? This is not what I want either. Ooh, beetroots. Says it's close by. Those white roses? There's gardenias. Ooh. I'm gonna be real. I don't know where this old taiga growth is, but starting to look grim because I need old growth pine taiga. Okay. So this should be larchwood. Yay! I found it. And then I can go home and stop lagging the server. Oh my god, that was loud. Gimme, 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 gimme. Perfect. Think that... Oh, nope, there's some up there. Alright, cool. Now I can go home. Home is this way. Hello, wolves. Oh my god, that's a black bear. I'm not fucking with a black bear. Not today. No sir, no how. Get it started. Let's get it started in here. I wonder if I could boat my way around, actually. So now I have the goods. Oh. Boop 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 doo. Lane, I need your waypoint again. I deleted all my waypoints or something. Okay. Share waypoint. Yep. Yeah. 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 I forgot to add FTB teams. Fuck. That's the one thing I forgot. Oh well. I feel like it would have been faster to go the other, like a different, like across the land. Ow. Give me my boat. Give me my boat. Hello, pixies. Please don't steal my stuff. There's a crow. Okay. I thought it said cow, and I was like, how? It's so tiny. Hello, ferret. I have to find cucumbers. Maybe I should look for cucumbers while I'm out. Oh, cave. Dick. Everybody. Everybody. And then I'll go loot that one place. But I might do that later because it's almost time to watch Minecraft. Oh, what's this? There's a waste on here. There's loot here. How do I get in there? Alcoholic, because I saw an... Oh my god. Loot. Loot for me. I'm gonna go touch this waystone. Merzozer. Is there loot in here? Nope. Very green area. Loot. Loot for me. You have loot? Cobwebs. Loot. God damn. This is a lot of... That was a lot of watermelon. There you go. Is this a Pikmin? I found a Pikmin! I found a Pikmin plush. Cool. Oh, is this another portal? I should get out of here. Let's get out of here. Let's get home. Boop, boop, boop. Okay, now I have lunch and I can start building a house. Oh. And by start building a house, I mean start speculating the house that I want to build because I don't remember what I want to build. I'll put this one here. Okay. Make another chest. I mean, my depot chest. Stuff I just shove in the chest. Alright, this is gonna be my drop-off chest. For stuff that I don't want to organize right now. That bucket and that torch. Ooh. Odian suit? Oh, Mr. Cow. Okay. I need to have a somewhat empty pack. Yeah. I'll switch this out with this. Yeah, okay, let's go. Let's go! Hi, Womble! How are you, Womble? Time to go into the caves. It's... No, it's this way. Hi, how are you doing? Apologize if I seem a little spacey. I'm high. The zoot has gotten to me. I'm gonna go get some treasure. I'm sleepy, just about to head off to bed. I just wanted to stop by. Oh, that means a lot. Thank you, Womble. Mwah. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you sleep uber well. In dream and it sets me free, so let's celebrate tonight. Meow. Alright. There might be zombies here. Overdue a long sleep. So fingers crossed this sorts me out. I'm sure it will, buddy. You touched grass the other day too, so you're gonna have an extra good eat. I'm sure of it. Oh, it's one of these places. Go quick. Hello? Okay, cool. Boop. I only need 2 more. Let's go. What's this? Source touched plague coat of the spellcaster? What the fuck? Can I like put this on without like actually like putting it on? Whoa, look at that. I look cool. I look cool. And these places have like a lot of loot, so we'll have to... Nope. We gotta look out for doors. Right click to imbue with Ender spell. Interesting. Ooh, I found a knife. I found a knife. Alright. Okay, envtuber, come have a good zoots. Love you. Good eye. Love you. Love you. What's this? Stained scrap. I can eat that? Oh, and I have a compass? Let's go. I always like compasses. Okay, I guess I'll put a torch here. Hello, Echo. Oh, I'm sorry. Hello, Moon. Hi, Moon. No, stop it. I don't want it to spot. I don't want it to... Ow! I said don't. 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 Thank you for that, Pep. Suck. Sort. Extract. Sort. Extract. Oh, I don't have enough room. More torches. I have arrived with welcome. Hope you're doing well. We're just playing a little bit of Minecraft. Transfer matching into storage. And then extract. Pog. I don't think I have a big enough backpack for this. Actually, how much iron? We only have 1 iron? If we go find some more iron, we could get a bigger backpack. Not do anything? That do anything? Oh, I think... Oh. I don't know what that does. Yeah, I got all the loot on this level, I think. Alright, time to go to the next one then. Nothing crazy about me. But I get mine for free. Have anything I throw away? I feel like I don't really need the bones. The bones. What kind of bone is this? Frozen bone. That's for the spell casting. Maybe I'll keep that one. Whoa. Dime a dozen. What the fuck does that mean? What did I find? Ooh. Oh, okay. Oops. I guess I don't need this. Or gunpowder. I'll keep fermented spider eye. I want all the loot. Potion. Maybe I fucked up. Maybe I should have left all my books at home. Okay, hold on. I'll go back. I'll go back and then we'll go watch some TikToks. We'll go watch some TikToks. I'm just gotta find my way out again. It's this way. Boop, 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 boop. Before you go, I have a gift. Okay, I will. Do you want me to teleport to you, or do you want me to wait at my house? Either way works for me. Not the motor. Oh, it's good. You'll get off the sofa. Well, the song is a good song. I like Bubba Graham. Teleport me to you? Okay. I got you. Okay, so slash T. Oh, shit. Go away. I got a sword. Shove it up your asshole. Go away. Go away. Okay. Oh, there's an otter at my house. What's that? Okay. Slash TP fruit bat to lovely Elaine. Hello. Let me throw stuff in my chest. Okay. Okay. Whoa. What is this? What is this? Is this a tree? Give it. Whoa, is this a tree? I will wait for it to wait. Maybe I should put it in a more optimal place. I'll put it. Let me cut down this tree. I'll put it right here. Thank you for the saplings. There's a zombie! I'll save you, fruit! Get out of here. Ow. Get out of here. Get out of here, asshole. Yes, very pretty tree and has hanging vines. Ooh, thank you. Get out of here. Oh, I'll let you take care of that then. Two. One to the king, two to the throne. That's left, right, left, right, left, right, go. Left, right, go. Boop. I guess I'll throw these away. This chest full. Boop, boop. Boop. Okay. Alright, not bad. Also here. Oh. What's up? Thank you. Now I can have a backpack. A bigger backpack. Gimme. Yippee! Yippee! Thank you. Now I can have a bigger backpack. Come here, backpack. 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate this baby? Alright, thank you. Alright, we're gonna go watch TikToks now. I won't, I'll leave the server just so that way, if you guys are playing, then it's not as laggy, because I'm on too. Alright, TikTok time. 4, 6, 8. Right left, right left, right low. Step off at Kiwi. TikTok time. Okay. TikTok time. I gotta unmute the browser. And then I gotta go here. We'll start with Noxus stuff. I think it's this one. Oh, I haven't muted. Oh, that's not real! He's not real! I was gonna say, aw. Damn, I thought he was real. Why he look like that? In Chinese. Yao bao bao. Yao bao bao. Yao bao bao. I feel like, is this true? I'm worried. No, thank you for the ticky talks. That will be the checkpoint for today, is thanking people. Your inventory is assaulting my little perfectionist brain. I'm sorry, I'll fix it later. It's a problem for me too. I just have to, I leave it that way for now because I don't want to take time on stream to fix it. I always go like after stream when I play Minecraft. After that stream, I take like an hour or two after stream to reorganize all my shit. Because I feel by the day if you guys have to watch me reorganize all my stuff. Like 5 iron backpacks. Damn. A loser. Hi, Bobby. I like British insults. I like actual insults more, not the slang ones. Oh. Damn, not my mama. They are. God damn, really? Right in front of your mom. What the fuck? What the fuck? That's what they do. That's what they do. They're pushing. But the American in the video was incredibly uncreative, bad representation. True. You gotta get that southern insults, you know? That's where it gets creative. Oh. It did for a second. That was kind of cool. That was too fast. That was too fast, man. Almost had it, though. That was cool. Dude, that's me. That was cool. That's spooky. Oh, he just do a big stretch. It's like, don't. Jared, don't. Jared. That's crazy. That's a really small carrot. Why would you rage bait him? I hate it when people rage bait animals. Pisses me off, man. Fuck it. Pisses me off when people fucking... I've been getting fucking animal, like, pet rage bait videos, and it pisses me off a little bit, dude. Pisses me off a little bit, dude. Alright, let's get vexed. Nom 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 nom. Oh, I think I went too far. I see me. You see you. You see you. You are in my DMs. I don't talk to that many people. Bro, I've definitely sent you way more. Are they not sending? I can refresh. Let's see. Oh, the last one I sent was the horse one. Because if you're talking about the previous week, we did watch, like, the previous week as well. Like, each week we've been watching them when you send them. But, I don't know. Government shut down. Maybe TikTok broke, and... This message may be violence if you believe this. What the fuck? Damn! They rate limited you. They're like, you've been sending too many TikToks that were against TOS. We watched these ones last week. I went too far up. Minecraft mod. So many messages are not sent. No! The Great Bobby downfall. Did I forget to fucking send a thing? 18, 4, 15. Hi, twin. Wait, no, I already saw that one. Hi, Jalen, love ya. I hope that you have the most wonderful, fun weekend this weekend. No matter what you're doing, I hope you're having a great time. There's another UKB is maybe. I don't know what I'm scrolling through anymore. I could have sworn I saw one of those before, but oh, TikTok. No, that's the wrong. Yo, okay, hold on. What was last week's? Was it EP? No. What was last week's checkpoint called? Halloween check. Was last week Halloween? It was. It was a Halloween checkpoint. Okay. I saw a Christmas one. I'll keep. TikTok return checkpoint, and then wait, then where's the next date? There should be another date in here. Did I miss it? Did I miss it? 10/15/1. Halloween final boss in TF2. I think we saw that one. Yeah, I think we start here. Hi, twin. If you are grape, you will be the sweetest and cry. Yippee! I can hear the aggressive scrolling. You're welcome. You're welcome. I was very confused. It's stressing me out. What's this guy doing? Why is he driving like this? Tight shits. Hey, twin. I have something to tell you. What's up, Vexed? It's really bad. Oh, no. Hey. You won't be mad? I won't be mad. I won't be mad at all. It's okay. I'll say no. Okay. I'm a fucking what? Okay. I wish TikTok would not do that. You I'm a unicorn and I pissed on your bed? What the fuck? Hold on, I have to read that like so fast. Dude, I can't read it. Hold on. I'm pulling it up on my phone. Because I want to read what it says. Because I think Vex pissed in my bed. We can't be having that, man. We have a piss corner here. Am I on the right TikTok? Nope. Boop. Boop. This one, and I gotta just scroll all the way fucking up. Who is this by? Fork. And the duck. I remember the ducky. I think I scrolled too far up again. Oh my god. Oh, okay, I'm closer. There we go. Oh, is it gonna load? Oh, it's not this one. Okay, it's this one. I found it. Okay. I'm a fucking unicorn and I sharded on your bed today and your bed sheets are rainbow. What the fuck? My poor bed sheets. Dude, this is cool. Damn. There has to be a life on some other planet, dude. I refuse to believe that we're the only ones, you know? Like, there's no way. There has to be another planet. Even if it's far, far, far away, I believe. Me accidentally releasing a deadly virus during my biology lab session. I could see Vex doing this. The silly music. POV, you go to Michigan. Dun, 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 dun. You go to Detroit. Huh. That's crazy. Depends how you define life. That's true. Transgender, puppy girl, MILF. Call me a wine mom. Okay, Vix. The space for all the reasons I hate the ocean. There are myriad Earth-like planets. That's valid. I'm here. Hello. Why'd you shart in my bed? You're not a unicorn, bro. You're not a unicorn. Why'd you shart? That shit stink. I like these seals, though, so I guess it makes up for it. It's so cute. I love it. Damn, but I live an hour away. I'll be there in 30. Never mind me a hospital. Because I wanna? Okay. I love beetle moss, bro. So it's cornbread. I love cornbread. Animals of the mid. Oh, yay. Oh. Oh. A bobcat. Oh my god. Oh my god. They're so friend-shaped. Bison. Moose. I like that the fancy term for, like, the scientific term of a bison is a bison. My home. Yes, same. McBoy puss. What? Love the animals. We got fucking ass hat. Sweet. Weird. What, bruh? I'm not capturing this as funny. Is 100% what a kill streak feels like? This is true. This is true. Positive to the be here. I'm just saying that she better know I love her. Oh, I'm sure she knows. Huh? That's cute. Me parking group. What's your favorite part of the game, Buster? Yikes. Your dad a glance, touch your Jesus. Used to is one of the most saddest phrases. Wait, what? Used to is one of the most saddest phrases. Okay, a person could ever say. I used to be a good daughter. I love this movie. This is a really good movie. Prancer belongs in the canyon now. You used to just stare at people like this, then prescribe heroin and advice. That's crazy. Zomboid moment. It was a zomboid moment. That's crazy. That's true, though. Oh, and Christmas. Yeah. Okay. It's early game still valid. When I come back to it's TikTok time. My guy got shot 6 times and broke a leg in 2 days. Yikes. Oh, when I get the hammer and nails. That is fun. Shapeshift. Oh, that sandwich looks so good. That burger do look good though. Ooh. Ooh. Damn, that looks so good. My dreams are very different. Me love a good smash burger. Me love. Vexure dreams are weird. When I foolishly grabbed the rice cube of pain and suffering. Oh god. Meow. It's your baby. I was weird, but I love her. That was less weird than my dreams. That literally. Oh, that'd be so creepy. I had little dancing buns at the bottom. That was good. I like that 10 out of 10. Oh. Oh. Now it feels normal. Just like, what the fuck was that? No, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, okay. He's a baby. He's a small baby. Governor said we should leave it to comes up to the state, but they'd... So many beautiful couples in this. Aww. Hey, love is love, brother. Love is love. Aww, look at all the happy couples. They make me so happy. Wokeness is alive in the United States of America, and Dick Cheney is not alive anywhere. That's crazy. I saw this. I love this. This is a good trend. It's so true. Bruh, on God. This is me with any alarm, though. This is me with any alarm. Doesn't matter when. Beep, beep, beep. So cute. Dude, I would so do that to my friends. How a blue wave on electric. Ah. I honestly thought it was talking about a sports drink. I'm gonna be honest. I was very confused. You're cold, you're less, and you know you're in and you're out, you're up and you're home when it's right back in it. Why is all the white people selling all the hot? So I have PSC by the way. Last night I doom scrolled for midnight and my alarm was out. Jeez! I do that too. On God, I did that too. I did that last night. I was like, it was 3 in the morning and I was like, no, I gotta go to bed, bro. I love the image. I commented on this. Yeah, the hope syringe, bro. I love it. I like it. It's very like hype hope juice. Hope juice. I like it a lot. Actually, you know what? I kind of have an idea with this. I have an idea that I want to try with this for later. Or stream scroll. Random thing about the term woke. Why is it bad? Like, bro, why you want to be asleep? To be fair, sleeping is pretty awesome, but true. My child will not be allowed to use ChatGPT. He will be smarter and stronger than all the other killer, and he will kill them easily. What? Poison paradise. Jesus. Jesus. He was vibing. Oh, rip, bro. Shaun of the Dead. I love FNAF Foxy mod. Do you have it? Do you have it on yours? Rip. I'm a girl. I would do... I don't know what I'd want. Levitation, I think. Oh, no, I get scared by random gunshots enough. That's fair. That's fair. That's so pretty. Wait. Is Appalachia in Michigan? Shapeshifting? Sleep is for the weak, and Lord, I'm on my deathbed. Oh, God. Snell, don't do anything weird. Dude, that's crazy. Are we breaking it down of this game that I've been hearing about every day for 2 weeks straight? Smile. Oh, it's in Appalachia? Bruh. Is Appalachia just in Appalachia? I think the snail is my spirit animal. That's fair. That's completely fair, I'm gonna be honest. This is a very big explanation, and my brain is... A U-turn shaboing boing. Ew. Yes. Oh, okay. It's a torto. Bye. Oh my God, that scared the shit out of me, bro. It's gonna be a nuclear energy talk, isn't it? Squish. Ooh. Ooh. I'm more of a Rocky Mountain person myself. That's valid. That is valid. Guinea pigs are so cute. Ooh. God damn. Damn. Hello. Hello. This actually looks really fun. I want s'mores. I just got emotional whiplash on God. Growing up neurodivergent, you get punished for being mean on accident, but everyone can still be mean to you on purpose. True. Wow. Quiet and then sad. I know. Hey, twin, you know what you look good in right now? Me. Okay, goodbye. I'm scared. I don't have a penis. I don't have a penis. I don't have a penis. Okay, bye. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Thank you for the TikToks. I don't have a penis. Planet Vegas is the best. That's why I want to play Outer Wilds, because people that may fall on New Vegas made Outer Wilds. Good night, twin. Good night. Have fun. Have fun in It Takes Two. Thank you for the memes. Okay. Oh, I scrolled up too far. There we go. Halloween checkpoint. There we go. Okay. Ooh. Oh. It's so nice. Ooh. I got a killer headache. Oh no, if your head hurts, go lay down. Ooh, that was so satisfying. It's a horror game, nice. And I gotta deal with the fact that she's sharing with other people. Maybe that was directed for you, Buster. Just going back in the basement. Oh, God. Damn. Hey. Dude, that was actually kind of fun. Ew. No! How did he spit up the gun? He literally is like this bird, though. What the fuck? Breaking news. Steal 6 out tongue. What? Oh, it was for a second. Oh, I love Fushigi, bro. Dude, that's fucking amazing. Dude, oh God, that was actually really good. I love this anime. Get that girl an Oscar? Oh, God. That was really good acting. Oh, I haven't watched that episode yet. I actually still need to finish this anime. And by finish, I mean catch the fuck up. Ooh. God, this anime's so pretty. Ooh. 10 out of 10. Okay. This one. Oh. What about the 181 though? Oh my god. Yay! Usopp conducting the Tontada tribe to sing his theme song after the final war. What? Is this a deep cut? Because we haven't gotten there yet, Kiwi. POV when all your friends are still at the park but mommy's making you leave. Oh, poor little puppy. Oh. Poor baby. Bro, me and my friends in my fucking in my offline friend Discord, we're all Full Metal Alchemist characters. Like we named like each month. Hello. Oh my god, I realized we never changed our category. We are just chatting though. I apologize. How was your stream? Thank you for coming in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're currently watching TikToks that one of our chat viewers sent us. We're actually winding down for the night. Hello. Thank you so much for the wait. It was good. I'm glad. Oh my god. I didn't know that you stream at this hour. I'll have to raid you because sometimes I end early. And if we're online, I'll have to raid you. But thank you so much for coming in. If you need to raid and rest, feel free to do so. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy watching us. Low-key double raid. Oh, Gabby raised the art. Gabby. Oh, that's so awesome. It's okay. It'll be like a low-key triple raid because we end the night with watching TikToks on Fridays because I am a little zooted. So in a way, it'll be like a triple raid. Oh my goodness, I do stream at this time on the sizzly occasion. Oh, I'll have to raid you. I'll have to raid you guys. Thank you. But yeah. Welcome on in. I hope you enjoy hanging out with us as we watch a Full Metal Alchemist edit. And I was talking about how me and my friends, we have a Discord group and we change our names every month. And this month was Full Metal Alchemist characters. I was worried, but I had to show the cuties. That's so sweet. Thank you. I'm sorry that you were worried. Never be worried. I'll always welcome you with open arms. But thank you for raiding into us. Thank you. I hope you had a good time with art. And please feel free to get yourself some food, snack, or rest, because it is getting a little late. Oh my god. Lord, I blush. Tee. We will have some One Piece memes in here and edits because I don't want to have spoilers for chat though. This also makes me sad because we watch One Piece on Sundays. Oh my god, this is literally D&D today. I just got a call with a film studio that wants to bring me on as an intern to help them start making video games. It's super promising. Fuck yeah, Canadian, let's go! I hope you have an amazing time. I'm so proud of you. Great job. Mwah. It was super fun. I was yapping too much, but like, you can never yap too much. They're there because they want to hear you yap, Gabby. Well, fuck yeah, Canadian. High five. That's crazy. Did it become an actual cow? I'll keep on chasing. Oh, I hear it. I don't know. When I was a kid and I heard a lot of these songs, I think I knew the lyrics before listening to them, maybe. Fucking, she's not Irish, though. What? Misheard lyrics are crazy to me because I'm like, how do you hear this stuff? Because sometimes I hear it, sometimes I don't. Oh, Pomni. I liked Little Pomni. Me for River. I can never understand lyrics. I don't know why. Valid. Damn, Kiwi got the song a lot on their For You page. Ooh, I like that. That was cool. This is cool. That's cool. Wow. Shaw. Oh my god, Eldritch. I see Cthulhu. I see Cthulhu. Cthulhu. Shaw. Said Dagon. That's true. Baphomet, you are a torch. So true. Yeah, I was gonna say, but maybe he doesn't feel confident. Damn. Not very, no. The call went so well, it seems like we both want to start now, but we gotta wait till Feb. Understandable. What? I don't know. I think he was right on that one. Oh, look at Hammy. Aww. No, this was even cuter though. Oh, he's a little cockroach. Oh, he's doing the Jake. He did the Jake the dog dance. That was a Jake the dog Adventure Time. That's amazing. Oh, look at the little baby. Oh, it's a little baby. He's so happy. He's so happy. Oh. Oh. Oh yeah, I seen this. You're so small. You're so baby. Oh. We do love glitch in this household. That's fair. Spirit Christmas. I love it. Oh my god. Like, it's actually like Halloweeny Christmas. Hey, that's actually fire. I fucks with it. I fucks with it. Christmas. I don't wanna fuck Christmas. No, but it's so good. I fucks with it. Mm. I feel like we're judging Stan a little much here. He isn't too horny. Don't take that away. That's what I'm saying. This is a baby show. This is like a baby. No, it's perfect. I like him the way he is. It's too nostalgic for me to think of it being horny, you know? But that first one, I don't know. The background shit is like blowing my mind. The little animation in the background. The Cream Master, no way. Damn, too bad I don't have Kiwi. Kiwi, did you make this the last one? Because I wouldn't be able to scroll away and I'd have to keep learning about testicle fragility. A war. God, the glowing animations were actually really cool. Okay, it's fine. I'll send it in the group, in the Discord later. It's okay. It's okay. But thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I had a lot of fun. Time to keep my partner too warm forever. But I love you guys so much. And thank you guys for hanging out with me. And thank you for the raid, Gabby. It means so much to me. But we're gonna end here for now because I am quite a bit zooted. And I only took one. I only took one edible and I'm kind of bonked. I'm kind of fucking bonked, brother. This person's playing Peak. That person's playing Peak. What's everybody else doing? We love you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Let me play a song. This one. We'll play this song and then we'll end out and I will find. Oh Lord, they zoinked. I'm very zoinked right now. Oh my God, Cat's streaming. Cat's streaming Hades too. We're gonna go raid Cat. We love Cat. They've been streaming for like 2.5 hours. It was fun. It was. I'm going to go get some rest and I'll probably be on Minecraft. But if you want to join the Minecraft server, it's heavily modded, but we'd love to have you guys. You just gotta join the Discord server so I can whitelist you. Otherwise, I will see you on Sunday in the Discord to watch more One Piece or to just hang out in general. I love you guys a lot and I will see you next time. I love you guys so much. And there's the raid message. You don't have to use it if you don't want to, but I would really appreciate it if you did so they know where you came from. But otherwise, again, I love you. And I hope you guys get to do everything that you love to do for the rest of your life. Good night, guys. See you next time. Bye!